Welcome to the Awakening Together YouTube channel. We're glad you're here. If you'd like more information on our community, visit our website awakening-together.org. In this video, we will be sharing a Satsang that we recently had with Cay Villars, who is interviewed by Laura Joy Bedford. For more information on Cay Villars, visit her website, joininginlight.net. Enjoy the Satsang.
Hey, yay. Welcome, everybody. I am so excited to be here, and thank you for being here. I'm going to be introducing, or I am introducing, Cay Villars for tonight's satsang. Cay is on a divine and happy fire for sharing what Jesus taught her to reach into and heal her mind, to know the supreme happiness of our whole and perfect divine being. And she is just so willing to share what she has learned. I've sort of got something written here, but I'm also probably going to veer from that. So she just really devotes her time to listening for Jesus, listening for guidance, which Regina was just talking about, and then sharing what she hears. And she shares it so openly and so generously, as Regina has done for so many years. I was actually invited to facilitate the satsang because I've been working with this extremely gentle, powerful approach that Jesus is taking to help us, or sharing with us to help release these really deep beliefs that we might not even see that we have at play below our level of awareness. Okay, let me tell you a little bit more about her. She's been working closely with Jesus for a few years, and really long before that, like all of us. And she has just recently released in print the book that came through her called Jesus, A New Covenant, ACIM. And it's also available for free on her website as a PDF, but there's also a beautiful full color book that's available on Amazon. So that and A Course in Miracles are just a great little, what did Jesus tell me once, backpack books, to carry around. And Cay's going to share how he began speaking to her and why anyone who desires it can speak to Jesus, can speak to our divinity and be guided by him to spiritual awakening. She also will be sharing why he's such a powerful symbol in consciousness for enlightenment and what his teaching means for those devoted to spiritual awakening, and the wondrously gentle, powerful, relishing approach for making these deep dives. It's also Easter, so really Cay is going to be doing the satsang. I would only ask a question if truly needed. We will have time for questions afterward, but Jesus has given her a topic, and the topic is, what is the real meaning of the crucifixion? And so she'll be sharing what she hears from Jesus. So I think I'm going to let Cay kind of take it over from here, just to let y'all know at the end, again, there will be time for questions, and we'll also share how to get in touch with Cay, excuse me, if you ever feel guided. So take it away, Cay. Tell us your story.
Well, thank you, Laura. Thank you, Awakening Together. How blessed can we be to be with other beings who are so devoted to the truth? We are the truth. There's just an idea in the play of consciousness that we're not the truth. So, Laura, I just want to make sure I have the timing, because I know you want questions at the end. How long is your satsang usually? And then how much time should I plan for questions? I realized I hadn't asked you that.
We have an hour and a half. So
perfect.
An hour-ish. Yeah.
Just want to make sure I'm clear. Yeah, because, it's so holy. It's so holy. So the first thing I would like to say is, it sounds like it's Cay talking to Jesus, but what it really is it's all of us learning to listen to the voice for wholeness. So the key message, if I could start with any message, it's from Jesus, but we're being called home. We calling ourselves out of the dream, and this is being provided for that. So the message is, you can talk to him. That's the one message. Like in the first chapter, I didn't know it was going to be a chapter. I wasn't looking for a book. I just started typing. And then one day, and then it was just a natural conversation. And what you'll see for everyone, this is given. This is the voice of wholeness within, and we use the symbol of Jesus. And I'm so grateful to have it. I didn't want to talk to Jesus. I mean, if I first realized this was Jesus talking to me, I would have been running. I've told people I would have run the other way. I didn't realize it took a while, for him to kind of convince me, look, this is your function. The last thing I wanted to be talking about was Jesus. And now my whole life is that, because I see the power, because what's the message of the resurrection? What's the message of the crucifixion? Well, it talks about it in A Course in Miracles, but here's the deal. It's 2 words. The message of the resurrection is supreme happiness. It's like I grew up Roman Catholic, and I'd look up at that cross. I wasn't exactly thinking about, okay, this is going to be supreme happiness. And I laugh about it because I've said to people when I was first talking to Jesus, like, I'm not sure I really want to follow you. Look what happened to you. It doesn't look so good, in consciousness. But that's the interpretive function. And what he's showing is from the start of Genesis, which is the genesis of an idea that there's some otherness in consciousness. It's the Old Testament where we're living inside all the God that punishes, all the idea about punishment, all the way to the New Testament to start seeing it new. And yes, this is, the background, if you can. Well, I had no background at first because I started hearing Jesus when I was coaching in prison. I was going into the prison system coaching, and I went into a coaching session, one of the first ones, and this woman came in and said, and I was working on beliefs as a volunteer, and we know that beliefs can change, and they need to be changed because, first of all, divine being doesn't have a belief in there. If you look at infinite light, which we can, there are no beliefs in infinite light. Beliefs are energetic investment in a thought to make it real and feel like it's concrete. It's like the currency, you could think of it as the currency of suffering. So anyway, she came in and I said, okay, well, what story? We talked about letting go of the stories. I think, I suspect, I haven't seen a lot of Dawn, her materials, but I suspect she would be talking about that. Is that play of hanging on to beliefs and stories in the mind, to let those go. Because what we perceive in our mind is how consciousness makes itself feel like an object, congeal into like jello of one thing seeming to happen to another in cause and effect. So I was teaching how to change beliefs at that time and looking at how to change stories, and horrific stories, rape and beatings. And she came in and I said, well, what story would you like to change? Or what I call the movies, what movie's running inside your head? She says, well, I got in a fight with my boyfriend and I stabbed him 7 times and he died. So she had, in the ways of the world, killed her boyfriend. And I remember thinking to myself, well, maybe she deserves guilt, maybe, but my mind, I can't explain it. But if in a spiritual path, you'll see that when your mind is open, when the question is really like expanded to all that is, that's all I can explain it. Like I wasn't locked into that. Somehow my mind was open and I could hear this voice come in and say, look, that serves no purpose, that guilt, and it will repeat itself. And I just heard that really distinctly. I'm surprised I didn't run. I don't know. But we know it's like the wisdom of the ages. We're being taught all the time because we're being called home all the time. So anyway, so I worked with her. And throughout the years of 10 years on and off in men and women's prisons, I mean, this voice would coach me. It wasn't as distinct as it is now. Now it's 24/7, talking to the voice all the time. But then, it'd get its word in edgewise, and it would coach me to do things that seem absolutely impossible. But I would do it somehow. I would follow. So it wasn't till about, so I've been coaching in the prison maybe since the early 2000s. And it wasn't until 2010 that I started to take A Course in Miracles. And, it looked, I wanted to believe it was true, but it was, I thought the devils were going to get me when I first started that thing. I got to say. So it's been quite a transformation. But what I learned from it is that if you follow everything in that book, every sentence is true. And not only that, if you learn to speak to this voice, which you can, you'll be able to read anything that appears in consciousness and find out how well it points to the truth. Because there are no words that are true. There's not a single one. You can ask Jesus. I call it Jesus. You can call it the Holy Spirit. He doesn't use the word higher self. It's you. It's your voice for wholeness. It's the representation of your voice as given by God that comes through you and is as an expression in this world.
Okay.
So, yeah.
For a second, I just want to ask you a question. Can you share an example of one or two of the assignments that felt kind of impossible for you?
Well, it's such a good example, Lori, these things. I don't know. I just got good training. Like, let's see. Let me ask Jesus, because I always only tell what he tells me to say, because to use it for holiness. Okay, so he's saying I could talk about this one. Okay, so I had been coaching for a while. I went to the men's prison. And first of all, getting me in a men's prison, I just thought there is no way. So that's the first thing, because I'd coached in a women's prison for a while. And then I guess I was starting to hear, go into, because there was a men's prison about maybe 45 minutes from my house. And so I'd been coaching for a while in the men's prison, and the social worker called me and said, the men are having really good responses. It was actually Tony Robbins' Get the Edge. I was like a trainer for Tony Robbins for 10 years, and he had this program that volunteers could teach. And it's really about the power of the mind. It was a great starting point. So anyway, the social worker said, okay, I'd like to put the guys in your class, and these are going to be all the guys from alcohol in drug rehab. And we're going to put them in your class. And I said, well, that's great. The more the merrier. I was always trying to talk them into putting more. But, it's a prison. They don't like you having more than a couple of people. And, they want you to have under, say, 15, 18, something like that. Especially by that point, I was starting to be by myself. I'd been in there a couple of times. Usually you're in with a social worker. Now, it's myself and these guys. So I went into the class, and on the first day, and I could see, there's this line of guys. There had to be 25 or 30 guys in that line waiting to get into my class. And I'm looking at that, and I'm thinking, boy, this seems unusual. And I could kind of see that looking down, they were not happy. Because I came to find out later, this is Monday night class, and it's Monday night football. And the social worker really hadn't told them anything about this class at all. So they were really mad. But I can see when had been following the spirit so long, and Tony really helps because he is unstoppable in terms of dealing with things. But anyway, so what I did, this is definitely from the Holy Spirit. I just went up to them and say, hey, how great that you're here. Thanks for coming in. I was shaking their hand. It's like nobody in prison shakes their hand and nobody's happy. And then I went down the line with, oh, come on in. And I drag them all in here and got them in a circle and started playing games with them. And about 15, and this is when you're following spirit. You see, you're going to be lifted up. You would think, because that was a good way to get in a lot of trouble, because the officers are downstairs around the corner. You know what I mean? They're not anywhere near there. Anyway, so I'm playing with them, and they're going in circles and everything. And the social worker realized, the head of social work, I never saw her on that part of the prison ever. But that day she came running up because she realized what she had done. There was something like 30 guys or 35 guys in there with me, you know, and it was fine. Do you see? Because you're carried by angels when you're following your assignment. So that would be one example. But I didn't realize, I don't know, it, you know, at first we call it intuition, but really following Jesus is so far beyond intuition. It's not of this world, actually. It's pulling us out of the world when you start hearing that voice. And I guess the other one I did with that there was this game that I played with the guys. So it was just amazing. What can I say? I loved every minute of it. But who would say? It was such a metaphor of going into prison and getting yourself out of prison in your mind. But so there was this game I played with them. What we do is play kind of these games and then talk about how the mind works. You know, here's how it functions. Here are all your beliefs. I'm not good enough. All those kinds of things that would come up when you played. So I played this game called Magic Carpet. And it's like usually you have about a 15-foot by maybe 8-foot tarp that you put down on the ground, and they have to all stand on it. Okay. And then they have to turn it over without stepping off of it. So in this case, I can't remember, there were 10 or 12 guys in the class at that one of the classes that I was teaching. Might have been 15. There were a lot of them. And when I went to get ready for the class, I could not find the tarp. It's like, where's that? Anywhere. But I just heard all I could find. Think little. Think like 6 foot. It couldn't be longer than 8 feet. I think it was, you know, it was tiny. It was 6 by 8. I mean, that was like this amount of real estate. These guys are big and they got big boots. They're all wearing boots. So I said, I'm just going for it. I'm just going for it, you know. But then I'm driving in my car thinking, well, what if this does not work out? You know, if they can't solve this. But anyway, so I get there and I say, okay, here's what we're doing. You know, you just have to be, come on, can you see that? I'm like the only one smiling in that prison. Let's go. They told me that. I said to somebody, they would write down in their little notebook, she's crazy. She is crazy, but we kind of like her, you know? So anyway, so I get in there and, I lay down the tarp and I said, okay, here's what we're doing. You guys are going to stand on this tarp and you're going to figure out how to turn this tarp over, okay, without getting off of it. And one guy stands back and he goes, He goes, that means we're going to have to touch each other, doesn't it? I said, well, if you're a really confident guy, you know, how's that going to be a problem? First thing you know, I got like between 12 and 15, they were like, there was no real estate. You need real estate to solve this puzzle, to flip that tarp, and you have to cooperate. And they're like stepping on each other's shoes. And that was one of the times where there was a social worker in there and she's going, oh my God, they're never going to do it. I'm going, shh, don't tell them. And you know, those guys solved that puzzle. I mean, I'm surprised the guards didn't come running up, because I just realized they were like yelling and screaming, you know, because they solved it and turned it over, you know, but they discovered what we need to discover, how to collaborate with our brother. See, and you can achieve this. We can achieve an amazing thing. Like in this case, we're going to heaven together. That's what Jesus is teaching me. I need my brother. Oh my God, it's so much freaking happiness over that. So anyway, you know, they're all, but it was things like that, things that you thought were impossible. And that's what the guidance, you know, if we talk about what guidance is, they're going to be things that stretch you out of your comfort zone. But if you don't say yes to it, you're saying yes to that, you're saying yes to the ego instead. There's only two choices. There's either saying yes to the ego, which is saying no to supreme happiness, or there's yes. But what I realized is I had to learn what to say yes to and what to say no to. When was I following the Holy Spirit or the voice of totality? When was I investing in the bank of death? of the ego, you know? So learning to hear that voice and follow that voice. So over time, you know, finally I started the course and he was still coaching me. You know, I was getting more comfortable talking to Jesus and talking about God and things like that. In 2014, I finally finished the course and I said, I'm going to find out if this awakening thing is, you know, what's the deal on that? And at first, boy, I sold my house and started going on. Jesus started sending me on kind of missions in different places. And one of them is Jerusalem. He sent me to Jerusalem. So that was a beautiful time to start talking to him about, you know, start talking about the resurrection and crucifixion. And, you know, what an honor. Like, thank you, Awakening Together, for inviting me to come with my brothers to talk about the most important expressions in consciousness for the transformation of the idea of an egoic consciousness, to have this symbol of Jesus, of a healed mind. Meaning, I want to start with the definition of Jesus's definition of spiritual awakening, which is 2 words. Supreme happiness, a consistent state of joy. Who talks about that in this world? Consistent. Even among spiritual teachers, they'll go, well, you might have to, you know, you'll wake up, but you might be in pain. But if you buy that, because you're going to be able to go, I'm going to talk about how, if you want to transcend pain, that's the gift of A Course in Miracles. He's not just saying, okay, you're going to, you know, you'll be in the world, but you're going to be in pain. No, he's telling you, you can look at how consciousness works. And this is what he taught me to do when I really got it, to start paying attention to that voice. You know, when I started typing that day, just typing, because what happened was I was with Muji, and I love Muji, and I'm grateful, because many spiritual awakenings, you're focusing on divine light, okay? And you contemplate it, and it's helpful. It's in the course. Lesson 44, lesson 189, you contemplate infinite light. The thing about it is, I had many awakening experiences. You can have what you would call an awakening experience, and you'll hear beings talk about it. But Jesus's definition, I'm going to go back to that, is a consistent state of joy, consistent peace, like that. And the ego goes, oh, that doesn't sound good for me at all. No, it doesn't sound good for you. Ego goes, that's boring. Oh my gosh, you're like a fountain of joy. We're fountains of joy. Okay? That's the message of the resurrection. You, the only thing God can possibly, Renee's over here laughing. The only thing God makes is joy. That's it. Period. So then it becomes the contrast between seeing that infinite light and recognize it. They call it the holy instant in A Course in Miracles, and then not wanting to be it. So instead of enlightenment, I call it cease to denyment. So we're ceasing to deny what we already are, you know, because if you look and you notice the holy instant, which you can do, you know, it's not difficult to recognize that there's something here, you know, like Muji, he'll, you know, look and notice before thought and what's here, this vast, what's even more important than that. And I love Muji. That was part one awakening experience. I'm at a Muji retreat, and I couldn't relate to a body whatsoever. You know, it was so irrelevant. That might not be an advertisement for sun, but seeing, you don't know what a body is. We just have an idea, you know, and I look down at my arm at Manchi Sahaja, where he lives, and I'm taking a little bucket bath, and I you know, it's like I could see there was nothing here. So you may have lots of those, but what you really want to do is be in the celebration, in Holy Communion, 24/7 with God, you know, all the way, baby. So, and you'll see it too with spiritual teachers. Some can speak so eloquently because you can speak so well. If you're speaking as truth, you can hear it. There's like a resonance of being. But you'll see many spiritual teachers, they'll have, you'll see on their blog, they've talked about beautiful awakening experiences, but they're in just horrific state on their blog, or they're suicidal. Some have killed themselves. It's not to judge it. I'm just going to say, if you talk to Jesus, he's going to explain that whole thing to you. It's a play in consciousness. There's still, all it is like he'd say to me, I'd go, Jesus, like, have I not been following you 100%? It's, because I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm following him and I'm looking at everything. There's some change in my mind, and that is part of it. I heard the earlier Satsang where she's saying you got to have courage. It's going to take courage. Oh my gosh, more than an army. But you're strong enough because you're infinite first. You're infinite first. I mean, you're never anything less than infinite, but you can say that. You can say it that way. And then you'll start to see how consciousness is in Genesis all day long. Genesis is the miscreation, the tiny mad idea, they call it. Genesis is the clue that the Son of God fell asleep and dreamed of Elohim, a multi-God, and God with punitive and all this sort of stuff. So you can have those kinds of experience. So here's what Jesus taught me. So I'm having this conversation. He said, look, go to A Course in Miracles and search on the words, you believe. I said, okay. So I went and searched and I wrote down more than 80 of them. And then Jesus is showing me, he's going, underneath that, every one of those beliefs is a desire. And a desire to deny divinity. That's why I call cease to deniement. All these, a desire for an experience that rise up, and then as we've talked, you probably heard, it gets projected out onto the world. This guy, my brother, there's nobody out there. It's a desire to experience somebody out there. But look, what if you got one of the most powerful symbols in consciousness for wholeness in your mind, the part of you that remembers that you are of God, coaching you to show you all the desires. Here's every single one of you, and I'm going to coach you directly how to release those. And so he showed me. And so it was so humbling. Oh my gosh, but it's happy humbling. Because what he started to show me, and they're in this text, but you can get this thing for free, this book on my website. It's been available since then. Okay. It's the non-book that wasn't a book, but now it's a book. But anyway, because he said to, if he had said, bury this in the closet, I would have buried it because it's for me. But you believe that God rejects you. That's one of them. Here's one. You desire an experience of feeling rejected by God and then feeling angry about it. Now, at first, you might look at that, and we have people joining, twice a day looking at these things. At first, you might go, oh, I don't have that. But first of all, when I started looking at most of these, I saw, oh my gosh, they're still down there. I could see, you start to get that wanting energy. It's just the wanting energy of something other than all that we are. So now you got the coach coming in and going, okay, look at this one. Oh my God, I'm just looking like pages. I wasn't intimidated. I don't know. I should have been when I thought of 80. It's in chapter 20, okay? Just sit down. This book, all it's for me, to have a conversation with Jesus and ask him line by line. No more discussion. There's plenty of groups that discuss awakening. You don't want us to discuss awakening. You want to know that it's what it is, and it's true, and what he showed me, which I realized at a Muji retreat, and all the spiritual traditions talk about it. Obviously, it took me a while to get it, but, I was contemplating intimate light. And then I realized that if I wasn't experiencing light, there was a desire not to have it. What do all the spiritual traditions talk about? Desire. But you don't like, I mean, consciousness is made just to ignore all this stuff, right? And pretend like it's not there. But somehow, you know, that opened, you know, you kind of like, you know, this word grok, I love it. It's from Stranger from a Strange Land. I love that word because there's no good word like that where you get it like totally, you know, like everything. There's no scrap of anything that can go sideways. You just get it. You know, that's what supreme happiness is. There are no little ooches down in the subconscious mind that are in play anymore to deny divinity. So, right, that wasn't long after that, I could see somehow it opened my mind to start really, and that's when I started hearing Jesus, and he's showing me, look at this desire, look at that, oh my gosh, look at the number of desires. I said to him, Jesus, can't I hurry this up some? You know, like this, and he's going, you're trying to hurry up what never happened, okay? You know, you don't grok that it's a dream. But we need the help of that voice of wholeness to get us to the points in the mind. Otherwise, the ego will run you around like a rat in a maze because it loves it. So what happened was he's starting to show me these things, and some of them I could grok it. Like, you believe your brother can steal heaven from you. And then I go, you desire an experience of wanting to feel like your brother can steal heaven from you. And it's like, oh my God, I feel that now. I really want that experience. And you start to see the wanting in any kind of wanting, any kind of desire. See that the infinite light of being, always here, doesn't go anywhere. It has no want in it. Like the Buddha said, see? To be without desires is nirvana. It's desireless by nature. Our divine nature is desirelessness. So then I just said, I am going to look at I don't care how long it takes, even though I complain a lot sometimes. But you realize now in A Course in Miracles, they call it a miracle is a change in perception. So what does that mean? Just want to watch the time because I got to talk about the crucifixion, right? But it's all part of this. This is what Jesus was teaching when he was on earth. He was teaching the apostles how to look in the subconscious mind. It is way cool. There's a psychoanalyst in France that did his whole thesis claiming, I don't know how he got that. That's divine. But anyway, in the Gospel of Thomas, he took, I don't know, there's only 200 lines in the gospel, but he figured out that Jesus was teaching psychotherapy. And that's all it is. Look into your mind.
Process.
What?
Take us through the process.
What?
Take us through the process just quickly.
Well, I'm going to, let me just, because I think what it's better, I'm going to give a bit of information on it here, but you want to experience it. So jump a join. It's very easy. There's a worksheet. I'm going to give you an overview. Okay. And I'm going to describe how he worked with me on it.
Hey, just for a second, this group is very practiced and deep looking, and they've done some work with the relishing as well, just so you have that as a background.
Yeah. I'm just following, you know, that's all I do. What Jesus wants to share is my, you know, because you'll see to only speak that voice, that's your voice of wholeness without exception. You see, that's divine expression. That is expressing all the love that you are when you speak only that voice. So anyway, so what he showed me how to do was if you feel an upset, okay, in the play of the world, we complain about it, we yell about it. No, you pause. And you ask to be shown what is underneath that upset. What desire do I have not to be at peace? So I was starting to explain about miracles. So miracles are a change in perception that a desire for something other than God has value. So the only way a desire can arise, okay, the only way an experience of otherness can arise is by that underlying desire for it, the wanting of it. So through this coaching and in these sessions, and again, we're going to invite everyone to a session. I'm having one on Wednesday at 1. I'll be on it. We have them twice a day, 7:30. 7:30 Eastern time and 7 p.m. Central time. They're twice a day opportunities to really look at the nose divinity. So basically, he's going to show you where your no is. And a miracle is merely changing your mind that that desire has value. So you can use the word miracle or not use the word miracle, but it's a decision to say, look, that desire down there is not valuable. Okay, it's no longer valuable. I am not going to have it in my mind anymore. The challenge is when I started looking with him, I realized that I didn't want miracles. I didn't want to change my mind. Then you could see why the ego is so sticky. Because the play in consciousness is to treasure these things and confuse heaven and hell. It's just a bunch of confusion. So the process, you asked him, he shows you, you don't go into a story. I could see how many times I've told Jesus a story about what's happening. Here's the problem, Jesus. No, I learned quickly if I had one twitch, I'd look for the desire and then I'd ask to be shown the desire, the wanting. And by allowing the wanting to express itself fully, at first you think, oh, I don't think I desire that. I say, Jesus, is that still there? And you'd say, yes. And I'd say, show it to me. And first it's like a little bit of energy. But then after you've done this for a while and you ask them, I saw that I wanted those things, those desires more than God. See, if you want that more than God, or if you look down there and you see that somehow the ego has tricked you into believing that having a desire to kill your brother is love. And I will tell you, it seems like at a horrible level, I would never kill my brother, but you cannot escape the attraction of the ego without seeing the desire to kill in your subconscious mind. That sounds, but it's not. You'll start to look at things very neutrally and just see it's just an energy. It's a wanting of other that expresses. It's just a wanting of something other than divine light. So the power of this is what? The power is coming together with your brother and going into deep listening. 2 or more gathered in his name, it works. It is a tuning fork for your voice for truth. So in these sessions, what happens is you are turning in and learning to speak only your voice of wholeness as Jesus tells you what to say. Okay, so he's going to tell you, and you'll see really quickly the number of beings that thought one sentence, I'll never talk to Jesus, and they're suddenly talking to Jesus. But first, most beings have to get over their idea of Jesus. I did too. You know, like I said, I don't think I'm interested in this. It doesn't look so good. You know, I had a lot of concepts about the idea of Jesus, but it's just a symbol. It's a symbol of saying, look, you are so mixed in to the way you think. You're in the beehive, right? We walk around with, you know, and as soon as you start looking, it gets worse. It's like, Jesus, I feel like I kicked the beehive because the thoughts are like, but this is light training. It's going to teach you to focus on the light within for your information rather than the objective experience of the world out there, okay? You are more powerful than any thought. But if there's a pretend like your weakness, which the ego wants to have an experience. If you want to have an experience to be weak, then that will manifest for you. But if you go with Jesus and he shows you, look at how you like powerlessness. These are great ones to look at. The desire for powerlessness, the desire for feeling competent, desire. So anything that rises up, like anger, you can look at the desire for anger. The relishing of it. You'll go down there with him And then I'd go down there and it was like looking at these desires and I'd see like, it was almost like discovering you'd see a little pair of devil's horn pop out. We call it the golem. But if you hit that golem and see how it's wanted down there, you're getting to the real good stuff. Not to judge it. There's no judgment. You want to get to the point where you see in the subconscious mind, there's some part that thinks it's a good idea. It goes like this. Oh, this is terrible. God, I hate pain. I would never like suffering. I would never like illness. It's going like that. But when you go down in the subconscious mind and then you hit that, oh my gosh, I really like pain. That's humbling when he showed me that. Like I was working on a headache with him and I go, oh my God, I relish it. I relish this. So the freedom comes in, and I think Laura's pointing you to when you get to the point of seeing the relishing. It's so much freedom. It's so easy. You'll yawn it out. You'll learn how to just yawn out the ego. You just go, okay, show me the relishing. You're calling on your totality instead of investing the ego. And you go, I'm going to see. And then this energy, the subconscious content, this is the complete dissolution of the subconscious mind. We think we need subconscious, like the psychologists act like it's real. No, you're made, even consciousness made through Genesis is whole. It doesn't have parts and pieces, but the play of consciousness is to experience itself fragmented, like a little something that's being acted on by something else. So, okay, I have 15 minutes to talk about, so how does this get me to the resurrection? That's what we want to know, right? Yes. Well, okay. Oh my gosh. So profound. It's so profound. So we invite you to join. Joining is the tuning fork, okay? For coming in, come have a direct experience. We're going to send, Mary will put in the message, you put a link. Here's how you can join with us. We're going to have trained facilitators. Laura's going to be part of that program because here's the thing, everyone is in psychotherapy with Jesus, even the facilitators. Like there's no one better than anyone else. Every brother brings a gift to the table in this. You'll see it. You want to cry your eyes out within these joining sessions because there's so much clarity at how the play of consciousness works. When you make the determination, you're going to go all the way to release every desire out of your mind. You just get happier and happier. But I'll for the fast way, okay? The fast way is to be guided by wholeness rather than this fragmented, you're bouncing around in the ego land like a pinball machine. But when you start getting that focus, and you'll see you can talk to him if you want to. The only way you can't hear Jesus is having a desire in your subconscious mind not to hear him. The only way, he actually said that in this book, it's not how can I hear the Holy Spirit, it's what desire do I have not to hear it. So he showed me, I ask them, I make sure everyone in this, all 20 of these, all 80 of these and more, or whistle clean, they go to the windshield wiper, goes like perfectly. But you'll see how powerful you are as an infinite being. And you'll feel the resonance. It's just a resonance of happiness, whatever you're doing, wherever you go. So that's the resurrection, the release of all subconscious content. So Jesus, now some of you might have heard this, but others might have to buckle your seatbelt, because it's a totally different view. Jesus felt no pain, none, because he no longer had a desire to experience pain. Okay? When you see that pain is a desired experience and you grok it all the way down, you could be ridiculously happy because you'll see that you can clear out every desire for it out of your subconscious mind. What does the ego do? It slaps us around with, and everybody's going, oh, you got to experience that. How can you ever be supremely happy if you think, you're looking at old age going like, constant feeling like you're run over by a truck? If that appears, all that means is just look at the desires, join with the brother, come together, There's a joining an eye worksheet. You work the worksheet. Here's how you look, step by step. So Jesus, so I kind of started to grok that it was happy. I just didn't realize how happy it was going to be. Jesus was like ridiculously happy. See, he didn't have an affinity, and he followed unequivocally. He followed wholeness in everything. And you have to really wonder about a being that when Peter came up to him, like, because Jesus knew what was going to happen too. Okay. And Peter said, come on, Jesus, let's get the heck out of here. They're going to kill you. And he says, get behind me, Satan. Because if he had left, this is a deep one right here, he would have made it real. He would have made the whole thing real. And he was a demonstration hanging there on the cross like this, that it's not real. So here's the mind-blowing thing that he told me. He showed me the Aramaic, this Aramaic to English Bible. You can buy it. It's by Vic Alexander. It's so mystical. It takes a mystic. I don't know if he was a mystic, but there's a couple of words that are missing in the regular Bible. But this is the twister, because I never could understand, how is Jesus on the cross and he's saying, my God, why have you forsaken me? This is the same guy that's saying, I am the father of one. Look, he knew on it, and you'll be able to talk to him about it too. So get your mind to the point where you can just talk to him. You can ask him everything about everything. He'll tell you. Jesus, were you in pain on the cross? Okay. No. Did you say, why has my father forsaken me? Now, some people say he was quoting scripture. I'm asking him. No. He didn't say that. Lamana sabachthani. No. He said Lamana sabachthani. He showed me it in this Aramaic Bible. It's a declaration. My function, I have fulfilled my function, which is our function. Our one function is to see that we're supreme happiness. Oh my God. Look, you didn't seem like that at first, because the ego's going, that's boring, but you're just ridiculous. You're a fountain. You are a fountain of happiness. But I kept asking Jesus, where is it? And he'd say, grasshopper. He wouldn't say it, but it's kind of like that, you know? You're learning training wheels. You got more desires. But then you know, okay, I just look, release desires, release desires. He was declaring unity with absolute reality. It was a declaration of unity with he's hanging on the cross, declaring unity with absolute reality. Okay, Mary's sending kind of a link, because we need to go to questions, don't we? We start at 6:30, so I got 10 more minutes of Jesus, because this is good stuff. Oh my God, it's happiness. It's a celebration of communion with the Father nonstop. I and the Father are one. But you will not make the world real. He's to even grok what he said, you'll be in the world, but not of it. He puts you through guidance. You're fully in the world. The chances are good you will not be a monk on the. You might go into a monastery, but it's only, because we're kind of like a monastery here, but it's only for the purpose to have nothing but straight releasing desires. That's what we do. We're interested in complete transcendence. It's for beings who are going, look, I can see this world does not work, and I'm going to supreme happiness, you know, and sometimes it takes some kind of stepping aside from the world to look at all that stuff, because the ego's going, well, what about this? And I got to take care of that. If you start looking, Jesus is going to take care of the rest, and you follow him. Let him handle it. Like Muji says, the Holy Spirit will be your secretary. Let him take it. My gosh, you'll be ridiculously happy. And you should be, because you're the one who's displaying this display for yourself. But like he says, you just kind of forgot who you were. So it's all the crucifixion is an expression of, he didn't really need to have a resurrection. But in the play of consciousness, we needed a symbol of transcendence of the idea of death, that death is real. But you can transcend that really easily just by contemplating light, and you'll realize, wait a minute, there's something here that doesn't die. you know, but the resurrection he's pointing to is just the complete, I'm asking, it's choiceless awareness. So there's unification of consciousness where you release desires and release them, and the little fragments you're no longer fragmented, okay. And then the complete transcendence, which is the resurrection, which is choiceless awareness. Completely no twitches in the world. Consciousness is a desire to pretend like you touch an object and it feels real, or a sound. There's a sound out there, but there are no twitches. If you're twitching, then there's still a play of consciousness that there's something out there, and then you just look at the desire for it. So he's really saying, you know, I just had to know. And at some point, maybe you're at that point just going, look, I'm going to find out for sure. But you do need that level of determination. When he says in A Course in Miracles, I'm determined to see, he's not kidding. Because the ego is a play not to see any of this. Not to see any of it. So this light training in these circles to look in is, you'll see how strong, how powerful you are. You'll see how consciousness plays to deny itself. You'll see the power that you have to no longer decide to put that you're the one, and you know, you hear other you're the one putting the fuel on the fire of desire, and then coming up in the smoke and going, God, you know, it's hot up here. But it sounds like it wouldn't be good to discover that you're the one who's choosing it. But let me tell you, when you get down there and you realize, wait a minute, I'm choosing this. It's like Kathleen. Oh my God, I love Kathleen. You know, God has just he is going to send people to help you on this journey. Like, I can't even talk enough about it. Look at them. They're all here. But Kathleen said, oh my God. She said, you know, Jesus took me into the subconscious mind, and I could see that I'm stuck to a cactus, but I like it. And I could see that I'm the one who's throwing myself on the cactus and liking that. She saw the whole. But the funny thing is, you can't just see that once. You got to see it a bunch of times before you finally realize, oh my gosh, I did the whole thing. But again, you'll be ridiculously happy because you'll see that you no longer need to do Genesis anymore. You can choose to no longer have all these plays in consciousness and feel like a puppet and things beating up on you all the time. You know, you'll transcend that by this direct looking. And following. You really do need to, I mean, you can take, if you want to take years, I mean, we've been doing this for eons, but if if you're like saying, look, I'm ready for something new, then learn to hear this voice, your voice of wholeness. Learn only to speak that voice. That'll keep you out of the story. See, the forked tongue story, the ego depends on that. As you're speaking, it's experiencing all the beliefs that it has. And you'll see this in a lot of, like Tony Robbins would talk about it, Landmark. They say, look, watch your stories because you're living inside of the dream bubble. So let's see, how are we doing? We got 4 minutes, so I'm just going to mention, we got to plug this in. We're running out of.
You don't have to think about it. I can cue you for time.
Oh, good. Okay. But somehow we're going to lose our connection because we got 26% left and we just got to make sure everything's plugged in properly. If you would, yeah. Yeah. Let's make sure we got some. Yes, we're getting power. Okay. Let me see what Jesus is going to say. Yeah. Because we got. Thank you, Renee. It takes courage. That was a good word she used. It takes a lot of courage. But you're strong enough. We're not some little weak thing. Your start is light. Start with the light within. Oh, so I'm going to have, we talked about it, if awakening together, our partners in love. I feel so much love in this. I asked Jesus, could I come and share the dream bubble, which is that he gave me, which shows how Genesis happens and how all desires create thought and then go to emotions and perceptions and why you have to step out and listen to that voice. So we'll have a session on that, and yeah, we'll just, whatever you guys, what you're interested in, we'll ask Jesus. If he says, yes, I'm here with you. Because it's for me, you see, when I say these things, we speak out of wholeness. That's the celebration of all that is. Like because there's no one out there that it's for. Yet you guys, if someone hadn't said to me, where's chapter 2 on this book, I wouldn't occur to me to have a book. I need the mighties. We need each other to see where we're denying divinity, and then to join together in the strength that we share to see the truth. I think I'm starting to go into delay for some reason here. Not sure why. For a little bit of delay. So that's the message. You are happiness. And you have the power to cease to deny divinity. It's all yours. It's all yours. But it sounds horrible. You can be ridiculous. That's why Buddha laughed at the sky, because he saw the big picture. He saw, wait a minute, nothing's happening. Holy smokes. And beings can talk about that. They'll say, nothing's really happening. But if you have a desire in your subconscious mind to experience something happening, you'll experience it. Which nothing actually happens if that happens. It's just, you'll be subject to the whims of the world.
All right, Kay, why don't we go into questions? There is a little bit of delay. Hopefully
Yeah, I don't know what's generating that. Let me see. Yeah, it's very odd. Not sure. Maybe it'll clear up in a moment. Okay.
Okay, you ready for questions?
Yes.
All right, anybody raise your hand?
It's a gift.
I can only see half the folks who are here. So the best way I learned from George this morning is go to the reactions and do the raising of the hand. And then that will move you to the front of the queue so we can see you.
And also, oh, now here's the chat. Oh, people have been sharing. Oh my gosh, she's been putting all kinds of stuff in there. And Laura, okay. The light never dies. Who said that? Yes. Okay. All right. So what are there questions? You'll have to tell me, Laura. I assume you guys will unmute everybody, however it needs to happen.
Great. Yeah, and I should ask Sina, do you want to admin that, or would you like me to do the question?
Well, for some reason, let's see, somehow, hold on, something came up so I can't see everybody. Okay, I'll try it if I have the ability to call. Do I just call on somebody, Laura? You think?
I do that. They just have to raise their hand.
Let me get a gallery so I can see everybody, because I want to see everybody. Oh my God, you're my mighties.
Yeah, Kay, Sina will help with the folks who have questions.
Okay, good. If you would, that would be great.
Again, if there's a question, all you have to do is go to your Zoom toolbar. You see that smiley face with the little plus sign says reactions. You click on that and then you can raise your hand. And that's how you raise your virtual hand. I see Laurel has her hand up, so go ahead, Laurel.
Hi there.
Hi, Laurel.
Hello, Kay. Is that how you say your name?
Yes.
Yes. Hi there. I am so happy that Spirit led me here because I had no idea that I was going to come and listen to you talk, but here I am. And this morning, it just was hitting me. Oh, yes, I am. I cried last night. I haven't cried in a long time. And I felt sorry for myself. I went, look at that. I'm enjoying feeling sorry for myself. I'm choosing this. Oh my gosh. And I thought, well, okay, I get that. And of course, the Course tells me that I choose every experience that I'm having. But so I'm so interested in your process in how to understand in my subconscious what is I understand that we have these attractions to things that are not our joy and our wholeness. And can you talk a little bit about what happens in this process?
Well, you basically, it's a very simple process. We have a worksheet, but basically if you have a twitch, I call it a twitch, any kind of upset. Oh, this is slow. Okay, it's any kind of upset. And you just pause and listen deeply and say, will you reveal to me the underlying conditions, the desire? And then he shows it to you. You'll see it, or you'll hear it through your brother. And then you ask, do I have that desire? And, and then you hear if you do, and then you just look with him. We step you, the facilitator will step you through it. Okay. Ask them, then it gets revealed. The energy of it gets revealed to it. And you ask, okay, am I willing to accept a miracle? And a lot of times the answer is no. Don't want to change our mind. But the reason it doesn't release is because it's treasured. There's still a belief that it has something valued. So then you can look at that. So it's very simple. You just join with brothers in a circle, and the facilitator will help guide you through the steps.
I see. Okay.
And you have a worksheet. So, and you'll just learn, because someone, let me see who that was here, who asked a beautiful question here about what's the biggest deterrent to listening to the voice of Jesus? If you're determined to hear it, you will. The ego's determined not to hear it, okay? It's your voice. So the biggest deterrent are all those subconscious desires that are to not hear it. Because see, as soon as you're really hearing that voice, game over for ego, and you're following it, see? So once I realized I might not be able to hear him perfectly, but if I worked with him to release desires, you don't have any other desire. I mean, the voice is you, because you're happy. There's no desire for something, and you can only be happy if you don't have desires. So it's kind of a combination. Mm-hmm. But you'll hear them. You'll be amazed, like in these circles, how many people have said, well, I don't think I can hear Jesus. And then they wangle out with something. So, I mean, it's crazy. So yeah, just come and have an experiment with it,
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you.
Biggest deterrent. Okay. That's it. Let's see. Anyone else have a question?
There are no hands up. Just remember, if you want to raise your virtual hand, you can hit the reactions button in the toolbar and then click raise hand.
Kay, would you share, one that felt incredibly releasing for yourself, just a story so people know what it looks like to spend a day looking within? Thanks.
It's funny, you don't remember much of it, because like he says that you'll have, one of them was the control, the desire for an experience of control. And I guess for any of these desires, you have to just go really deep, because you got to start out, and Trish describes it well too, someone else that's doing it. She says, at first you think, okay, control. Yeah, I probably have that. You're kind of like this. But then when if you stay with him and go, do I have that? And you keep asking him, and he says, yes, do I have that desire? Then it's like, it's almost like you feel like you want it in every cell in your body. That's how it feels. You can just feel the wanting of it. It's so full. And Mary's here, she would describe it. You could see that desire was everything. It's almost when it goes global. You'll see how it just goes global. It's no longer, the energetic of the desire is no longer expressed. It's allowed to express fully, and it unifies. It's not a little fragment acting on its own to have some experience of control or out of control. And you just go deeper and deeper with them. And it's total, but you got to stay with it, because the ego is going to try to abort this early. But I finally learned to go with them until there was not a scrap left. So I'd keep asking them on desire, will you help me go all the way? and you're just relieved. You just, a sense of relief at first. And then over time, you get these shots of happiness, like, and then after, it just gets more and more. Anything that's not supreme happiness is just looking. So I don't know if the controls one I looked, oh man, so many. Desire for the fight, to relish fighting, just relishing it and see it. I want this more than God. You can just feel it. And then out of control and out of control, those are pairs. You'll start to see how they're pairs. You can't feel in control without wanting to feel out of control at the same time. It's so deceptive. So you see the pairs of it. It's very mind-blowing. He blows your hair back, like, Victim and victimizer, they're simultaneous in the mind. You have to be feeling like a victim, and you have to be a victimizer. You're victimizing yourself to have an experience of being a victim, but the ego goes, I'm always feeling like a victim, that kind of thing. But it can't happen unless you believe that there's a victimizer, that's true. So you have to actually look at both of those plays together. So that was profound. But he shows me something profound every day, really. Sometimes now I don't even know what the desire is. Once your mind gets so locked down on that, releasing the energy, you feel a twitch and you just go, I'm going for a miracle. I'm going to see this all the way through till it's released. That's all. It's like they said, it's everything they say in the stroke, determination to see. You look at Ajasanti. If you look at him, he was determined to see. See, it's a determination. That's his only gig. He doesn't have a plan B. So yeah. Or Ramana Maharshi, he had one gig. I'm going to look. I'm going to see what's true. So it has to be that. If that's truly, I know some teachers say you can stay fully in the world. You could, but it just depends on how quickly you would like to transcend. It's always about guidance. But it takes full time. I'm going to just say it takes full time looking. It just does. 24/7. Because we've totally deceived ourselves. Did a bang up job. So yeah, it's a 24/7 gig of being willing to see everything that you're shown and to follow unequivocally the light. See, otherwise you're investing in the bank of the ego.
Okay, we have another question.
Oh, good. Okay.
In the chat. It's, how do you deal with body sensations like anxiety or panic attacks?
Oh, this is so good, because the ego is going to throw out the kitchen sink, right? It seems to get worse. It's like, Jesus, I've been looking, how much more looking? But here's the thing. You can look at the desire for anxiety. Look at the desire. So instead of the way the ego plays is it wants to invest in the full experience of fear. It likes it down there in the subconscious mind. It wants to experience anxiety. Okay. And these are always covering. Just think of it as smoke coming up. Here comes smoke. So instead of following the smoke out and playing in the smoke and the sensations, because the ego will run you around your body like a rat. You'll just start to see something profound, and then you got an ache in your back and an ache and whatever. So the first clue to that is, I would always ask Jesus what to look at. So you can join and then see, okay, do I look at that or not? Joining it will help you be clear on what to look at, but also go under, instead of living inside of that experience of anxiety, go under it and try to get in touch with the wanting of it. See, you're going to go down to the fuel, go down to the coals, the hot coals down there that are the little oxygen mix in, and then the smoke and the fire is way up here. So don't spend time in the smoke and fire. Spend time on the source, the choice, the relishing of that experience, and then clear that. See how that's being valued down there to get the smoke and mirrors. And the other thing that gets even more profound is you get really like in tune with that voice. you'll think it's one thing, you'll think it's anxiety, you'll think it's fear, you think it's all, and he's going to show you, nope, it's not that. Look over here. Like Mary says to me, where did that come from? I don't know, but he knows where the bones are buried. So what's great about that is you get specific. And then the other thing, again, I'd have symptoms on my toes and my hips, and they'd be my back. So I would ask him, do I look at that? And my finger, I talk about my finger, it was really hurting right here in the, and I kept saying, he'd tell me, no, don't look at that. You know, and I could feel the itch. You know, I was a coach, so I'm going to work on everything. That is the quickest way. He told me so many times by doing that, I was denying miracles. But anyway, because the coach thinks it knows, you know, what to fix. But he said, no, don't look at it. And so I followed him. And after a couple of days, it wasn't there anymore. So you have to really trust your inner voice for wholeness, because it can sound like a Jesus guy out there. But it's really just, all it's trying to tell you is to look outside the ego thought system. Don't trust that hell voice. Look outside of it toward the voice of wholeness in the symbol of the Holy Spirit or Jesus. And then let him guide you to what to look at. And don't believe the smoke. Just go, no, I'm going to look under that. What is that protecting? And you'll see it every time. Without exception, if you really want to, you'll see, and you can either spend time in the fear and all that stuff. If you go to desire, remember, it's desire first for the experience, then anxiety arises, then pain. It blooms out like a tree. So if you're down at the coal level, you'll never be afraid. But as soon as you feel that fear, you're diving into the dream bubble. But you'll also learn that your mind is powerful enough. See, the ego plays like, oh, I can't pull myself out of this. But what you'll see that trick and you'll say, yes, I can. Oh, yes, I can. I don't have to play anywhere in smoke. I can go down right to the source of where I put fuel on this fire and release the desire for that fuel. And then the experience can no longer manifest in consciousness without the fuel.
And could you share a little bit about staying, just constant reminding to stay in the light as the light, so that we don't have to suffer the experiences as they're being brought up and kind of cleansed and released?
Well, if you have a reference point, see, not everyone, it's very easy to recognize inner light because it's useful to contemplate light. So you have the contrast that there's something here. But if you don't have that reference to it, you know, you just trust that there's something here that's not the play. And when I talk about the dream bubble, I'll kind of show you how that works, that we're infinite light first. That's what Laura's talking about. And you focus more on infinite light than all the kerfuffle in the dream bubble. So if you're getting into pain and fear and anger and all that stuff, just think of it like Muji says, the ego's throwing stones in the bush. So what Laura's referring to, you want to stay with wholeness, you know, the truth of your identity, which is light, inner light, the light that we all share. And you can actually put any upset in light. I mean, even my 7-year-old niece did it when I said, what happens when you put that in the light? And that will completely, it'll be gone in the light of divinity. So that, but it's just a reference to referencing wholeness. And to trust that there's something here that we all share that's not seen by the eyes. The only thing that can be shared, infinite light.
I'll put a question to the group if anybody has any questions about this idea of relishing. You know, on a surface level or a sort of a consciousness level, there might be a resistance to even looking or being afraid of this idea that we're relishing. So does anyone have any concerns about that? Because Cay can speak really eloquently on that.
if we don't have questions on that, I'm going to also just finish this thing. I'm thinking about this panic attack and the anxiety thing. One of the things the ego loves to experience, did you find someone, Laura, that has a question about the relishing? Okay. It loves to experience being out of control. It's like, you know, when a kid gets on a roller coaster and woohoo, up and down, woohoo and woohoo like that. That's what the ego loves about panic attack. It actually loves them down there. So the solution is always joining, coming together to see what's true really quickly. So don't spend any time in that play. Just go, no, I'm going to see what's generating it. Okay. And one of the generators of, I'm asking Jesus, of that anxiety is the desire to feel out of control. It loves it. It's just an expression. It's not to judge it, or we don't judge it. We just get clear on it. See, it's not about accepting these sensations. A lot of teachers talk about that. What I'm going to tell you is you don't have to, it's not that you deny them. You just don't have to experience them. You go to the source of what all you accept is your choice to have them. That's so much more powerful. And see that you're the one in the subconscious mind wanting that experience. It's so much faster. You know, because technically you can be accepting the sensation and making it real if you accept it like that. No, you can go, no, I'm going to find out how this is happening and find out how it's unreal. That's the fastest way. You know, I'm going to find out if this thing's real or not. You put your mind in that mindset, see, and it's going to get your mind really focused on the truth. And that way you can see how powerful you are. Oh, we got a raised hand. Okay, Rhonda, hi.
Hi, Kay. I'm driving a car, so I can't get on video.
Okay.
As you were talking about desire, and then I heard Laura place the question to the group about relishing, I notice this constant pull back to wanting to constantly be in relationship with children, with my children specifically, my children. Is that relishing? Is that basically what that is?
Oh, I hear yes. See, I always ask Jesus everything, but don't judge it, Rhonda. If you judge, don't judge. What you're going to do is we call this in A Course in Miracles, you let the relationship with your children become holy, in that when you clear any kind of desires, like any kind of getting mechanism out of it, you're just like in the celebration with them. So just be willing to be open and explore. Is there some kind of little ego getting mechanism in here without judgment? And okay. Just ask Jesus, will you kind of show me? Because you want to be free of that, any kind of play, because we can't see them in wholeness that they are, we can't see that ultimately children, let me tell you, they get the light. My niece, as soon as she saw the light, she goes, all is forgiven. She's 7. I thought that's the whole freaking Course in Miracles. They can actually join and they get this. They'll get this faster than we will, like putting things in the light. And she did that. She was an upset and she put in the light. I said, what happened to that? And she goes, it melts trouble. It's 7, they get the whole, so they can be good joining partners too, to learn how to talk to the Holy Spirit. Wisdom, that's what the guys in the prison taught me. That's how I learned that anyone could talk to Jesus. The guys in the prison taught me. I mean, that's another Satsang. They taught me because I'd ask them, okay, what does the light say? What does God say? And then the wisdom of the universe would come through them. It's amazing. So, yeah, it's just looking. So you can get a joining partner. We have people who are available for joining. You join our messenger group and you say, hey, I need to jump a join. Can I look at this? But I do hear that from Jesus, there's some kind of energy there, but he's going to help you because you're willing,
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for asking. You see the questions are always for me to hear what Jesus has to say. That's all.
There was a question in the chat. So is it okay to ask for understanding?
To ask for understanding. Is that what the whole question is?
Yeah, Corrine asked, so is it okay to ask for understanding?
I hear yes. But okay, so here's the thing about understanding. If we have any idea, an ooch of idea what that means to understand it, we're going to interfere. So it's almost you have to, this is what, from my experience, okay? Like I would literally on this was just practice, this text, or if you journal, you know about these things, you just stand back and you just kind of go, okay, Jesus, what do you mean about this sentence? And you have to stand back and let him show you. I didn't realize that revelation, I thought I was going to get like whacked, the lights were going to go out in Georgia or something when, spiritual awakening. I don't know what I thought really, but it was some kind of crazy thing, right? You can't conceive it, but you can get a deep understanding of how consciousness plays so you can step out of it through these joinings. You'll I call it grokking. So because Cay was like the scientist, intellectual kind of thing, the old character that played, because that was the way I protected myself. Because if I had the right information or something, I'd be safe or I'd be powerful. I don't know, all that play. But this is like I say, it's grokking it. You want to get it so there's no room for that ego to play, a misunderstanding about your identity plays, right? So this kind of understanding is like stepping back, and it's a little different in that you're going to be shown. You're going to be shown where in your subconscious mind are you confused about who you are. And that's the kind of understanding we all need to have, is like who we are.
Awesome. We've got about 6 minutes left. So we want to be able to get in a couple of announcements before the end, but does anyone have any final questions or thoughts, including Cay?
Just the power, really, of the gift of us coming together to look this deeply in the mind. And you'll see how simple it is. It's really, really simple, this deep looking and clearing these desires. So yeah, just jump in.
Clara has a question.
Oh, okay, Clara.
Hi, this isn't Clara. This is Lael. I don't know why I changed my name. I've been having a weird couple days, but it's kind of related to my question, which is, what if we feel attached to the world and overwhelmed and depressed at the idea that nothing exists and everything's light? And and I see there's someone who is grokking what I'm saying, if that's possible. So what if it just feels oppressive and depressing and nihilistic? I mean,
Thank you for asking. I love you, Lael, by the way. I'm so grateful. Oh my gosh, you see how grateful these questions. Okay, so when we do the dream bubble diagram, you'll see when these experiences, like, holy God, that light, that doesn't look so good. Just remember that you're always looking from the inside of the bubble out. And the construction of consciousness is to always make the light look like some kind of thing that's doing something to you. And it's not going to be good. The only way we can stay in that dream bubble is to pretend like what we already are. It's too late. You're already light. There's nothing you can do about it. So I'm just give in. That's what I finally gave in. I went, wait a minute. The light's always here. There's nothing I can do about it. Okay. When you start recognizing light, which you will get, Jesus said you'll get light episodes, but not to get too bogged down in that. But when you start seeing that, you see it is doing nothing to you. You have to, in order to have any experience, depression, anger, anything other than happiness, there has to be a desired experience. So that's when you just go, wait a minute, this depression is arising. I'm going to look under it to see at the underlying cause. Jesus is going to show me. But it does take a lot of faith and trust and determination, like beyond termination, as someone put in the group, because we've obscured the fact that light is it, period, nothing else. And ego is going to make it seem like it's horrible, that you're going to die if you do it. So I just got to the point where I decided I didn't care if I was going to blow up. And sometimes it feels like it in the spiritual journey. Now I know that was interpretive function. Consciousness is, by its nature, is interpretive functioning. So first of all, which voice is saying that these experiences are real? First of all, and do we ever question whether they are or not? Is one of those things actually real? So all you can do is just get curious and go, what if not one bit of anxiety? What if not one bit of depression is real? What if that's not? What if supreme happiness? But you do have to be in trust, because consciousness is like this. It's like a beehive to obscure how ridiculously happy you are. And you can only take the holy instant. That's why in the Course, he calls it the holy instant. You got 1 second to recognize that's about all we can take without blowing up, to see the light is here. Infinite light, unchanging, undying. Everything that we are already here. It's like, oh my God, if I look at that, I'm going to die. No, don't look at it from inside the dream. Go outside of the dream and look upon it, because you have the power to do so, because you're light first. You are infinite light of being. So it's going to play like what Leo says. It's got to, for a while, it's going to be like that. But just keep joining. Hang on to Jesus's feet, hang on to your brother's feet, and keep looking and be determined to see. And it takes, like I said, it takes a lot of looking. And Regina was saying that same thing. It takes a lot of looking, but it's dedication. But you dedicate yourself to it, the fruits will be there. You can get fruits just by contemplating infinite light. You may get a shot of joy, but you want the consistency is when all the subterranean conscious play and consciousness to keep a subconscious mind are completely cleared from the mind. So,
all right. Oh, hey, I think we're right at 7.
Okay.
We cut you off, but I just want to say thank you so much for this. We've got all kinds of links in the chat. This will be posted live. Sina, am I doing your job? Do you want to take over? I just want to make sure we announce tomorrow's program, which is probably on your radar. So I'll let you take over. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Cay, and all the mighties down there in Mexico. Good to see you.
Thank you again for watching. For more information on our community or any other non-dual programs, you can visit our website, awakening-together.org. See you in the sanctuary.